That's what being a boss is.
I recently did a video on what I see as Tony's 5 worst decisions. What about some of his best? Let's take a look.
Sopranos have been waiting a long time to take the reins. That's why I want it to be you, Uncle June.
In Season 1, Episode 4, Tony tells Junior that he can become the next boss of the DeMeo family now that Jackie Aprile Sr. has passed away. This was a good decision because, like Tony says, every decision is actually really made by Tony. And now there's a brand new lightning rod on top to take the hits.
You know I can't be perceived to lose face, right? So, Bloomfield and the paving union.
The FBI agent sums it up pretty well here as to the good decision that Tony made strategically.
In fact, you were not the boss of North Jersey. That in fact, your nephew, Anthony Soprano, was and is. That he, de facto, controlled your capos.
Look at him. He's content. Thinks he's the king of kings. He's got the title. The house is secure.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You got nothing to do with it. You don't go nowhere near this.
In Season 1, Episode 9, Boca, when Tony finds out that Coach Hauser had sex with one of Meadows' soccer teammates, you can imagine what Tony and the other guys who have daughters on the team want to do to him. It's a little murkier when it's Meadows' soccer coach because, obviously, if Tony kills him or has him killed, in addition to the possible investigation that could lead to legal implications for Tony, imagine how Meadow would feel just knowing that her father had her soccer coach killed.
But what about Dina? If she finds out about her father, it'll totally destroy her life. Just tell Dad to let him go anywhere he wants, okay?
Come here. Meadow.
Mom, I only told her he wouldn't make Coach Hauser stay here.
And so they decided to actually report it to the police, something that's rarely done in Tony Soprano's playbook.
Something happens to him, who's it gonna help, huh? His daughter? That girl?
Look at that. Don't even need a pillow. Hey, what's the soup?
Bumpin' Sarro.
Pussy? What about him?
He's wired for sound.
What?
But at no point in time did Puss get enough on tape to lead to an indictment of Tony Soprano.
It's me and you and Sil together. That's the new pecking order.
What about Puss?
Pussy reports to you guys. Directly.
But in Season 2, whenever Puss makes an attempt to have a conversation with Tony to get Tony to say something incriminating, it never pans out to what the FBI would need to bring a solid case.
Listen, Tone, I heard we won't be bothered anymore from our neighbor Weisschuk.
No neighbor of mine.
What'd you hear on that?
Tony, we're out of ice in here.
All right.
So in this case, although it took a while for Tony to come to the realization and finally get the proof that he needed, that Puss was wired up and talking to the government, he was careful not to make any incriminating statements or discuss any illegal activity explicitly with Puss.
I think the family was relieved he got taken out.
What are you gonna eat? Hey, waiter!
That's the closest CW16 ever got Tony to discussing the Bevilacqua murder on tape?
Hey, T, you still got any of those airline tickets you got from the Scatino bus down?
Fucking creep.
Who, Rich?
On your uncle.
What happened to that man in the can? Meadow! Go, help your mother?
Bumpin' Sarro was crucial to the Webistic stock fraud case.
Tony, this, problem with the red tag garbage dumping in Payton City?
Okay, Christmas. He wants to talk about medical waste.
In my video I made on Tony's 5 worst decisions, his denial of Puss's cooperation with the government was on my list. Yet here we have one of what I see as Tony's best decisions, also involving Puss. Well, we know things aren't always so clear-cut, and just in one category or another, like good and evil, among other things. After Jackie Jr. and his buddies tried to rob the card game that, for all intents and purposes, was Ralph's game, too much had happened to give Jackie Jr. a pass.
Just take it easy, all right? Empty your pockets. All of you.
Victory has 100 fathers, but defeat is an orphan.
Not only did they shoot a made guy, Furio, they also killed Sunshine, one of the regulars who attended the executive games as well.
You took this kid under your wing. You schooled him as best you could. Didn't you?
Ralph did a very poor job looking after Jackie Jr., keeping an eye on him. If anything, Ralph only encouraged his behavior. He gave him the gun, told him he knew a guy selling X if he needed any, basically baited him into robbing the card game.
Anyways, the rest is history. Your father and Tony was on a fast track to being made, and I was still a little shitheel like the two of you.
He forced Ralph to look his bad decision in the face.
Well, I think you should go with your instincts on this, Ralph. I'll make sure they respect your decision. Because I'm sure you're going to do the right thing. The one thing you cannot do, Ralph, you cannot do, is blame yourself. I think this is yours. Stupid kid was carrying it around during the holidays.
Feach LaManna returned from the can, and we met him in the season 5 premiere. He wants to get back in the game right away, and Tony gives him the green light as long as he doesn't step on anybody's toes. Spoiler alert, Feach stepped on some toes, including some important ones like Dr. Freed's and the guests at his daughter's wedding.
You have anything to do with that wedding takedown in Ringwood?
Why? Is that a problem?
I told you that doctor was a friend of mine. I deliberately used that word.
This was after Feach had already overstepped by beating the crap out of Sal Vitro.
You don't work this neighborhood!
Feach had also gone and made visits to Junior, Tony B, and even Johnny Sack, without talking to Tony about it.
You're so concerned about my end. Why don't you put one of those cars through my shops?
What? Johnny Sack told me about this guy in Newburgh.
Johnny Sack?
Yeah, Johnny Sack. Anyway, he gave me a better deal for shipping him.
They released these fucks from the can. Obviously, he wasn't rehabilitated.
I know some people think Tony was a rat for setting Feach up to get sent back to prison, but I think this alternative was less harsh than killing him, and how else was Tony supposed to handle him? Like he said, did I learn nothing from Richie Aprile? Feach had already disrespected Tony. If he didn't fear Tony, if he didn't fear any sort of punishment, why change anything?
Gotta remember, Tony, I still think he is a kid.
Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes you hit the rocks. In the meantime, you find your pleasures where you can.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. What do you think were some of Tony Soprano's best decisions? I'd love to hear from you.